Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, our honor and our glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach Malak Yabushai, double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Hamashiach Malak Yabushai. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, married, unmarried, holding it down in the households, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers, reverencing their husbands, and those who may not be married, or those that tend upon the Lord without distraction. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the ancient men, the children, everybody tuning in live. Brother Azariah, Don Israel, Shalom, Kareem, Princess to a King, Cedos, right from South Africa, Shalom. K Paradise, Yolanda Caesar, Ephraimite Ak, Nigel Blends, Love Pius, Dennis Rodman, Don Israel, WFI Seattle, Shalom, Benjamin Youngwolf, Yvette McKellar, God Sauce, Shalom, King, Shalom, Shalom, WFI St. Louis, Shalom, Passport Hebrew, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing, continuing the series. Right, the ongoing series. It's looking like as of now to finish this in 5 volumes. So this is volume 3. We'll have a volume 4 and the volume 5. Right, if we stay on pace according to the will and power and grace and mercy of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Right, if you haven't seen Daniel chapter 11 breakdown, finally explained, volume 1 and 2, we encourage you to check that video out. Watch the history, get the fundamentals, learn the beginning. You understand? Learn how this thing began between the Ptolemies and the Seleucids. Learn the root of Alexander and his generals and Cassander, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, Seleucus, and all of these different men. And learn how this war spiraled out of control between two prominent empires between the 3rd and the 1st century BC. The Seleucid Empire of Syria, Mesopotamia, you understand, in the east, and you had the Ptolemaic Empire, the Levant and northern Egypt, and see how this war turned into 6 wars, but it's like you're over Kosierra, or what the scholars call the 6 Syrian wars. But this is Daniel 11 breakdown, finally explained, volume 3. Volume 3, and let's get right into it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Right? So if you've been tuning in to the series, you know, we'll catch you up to date on what was previously went into, or what we previously went into, and then we'll go from there through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Right, so again, we're on pace to finish this in 5 volumes. Right, this is the most detailed prophecy in the entire Bible. There's really no other prophecy more detailed, and second to this will more than likely be 2nd Esdras 11 and 2nd Esdras 12. You had Daniel, the 2nd chapter, the 7th chapter, the 8th chapter, really Daniel, the 9th chapter as well. There's a lot of very detailed, complex chapters that the Most High has put in here, man. Now, let's dive right into it. So Daniel chapter 11 and verse 15. So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount and take the most fenced cities, and the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither his chosen people, neither shall there be any strength to withstand. The king of the north is Antiochus III. Remember, a lot of Daniel 11 covers the military expeditions of Antiochus III. Not the entire chapter, but a significant portion of them. Here's the war between him and the Ptolemies. And he defeated them, or they had the Battle of Pania. And the Battle of Pania is when Antiochus III came and took over the region and the land that was occupied by the Ptolemies. That region of land that was occupied was Judea, you understand, Jerusalem, and parts of that, what they call the Levant or Cold Sierra. So what it's talking about is when the war and the Battle of Panium took place, the Ptolemies lost complete rulership and dominance over the Levant, chiefly over Judea. You understand? And the top generals of Ptolemy, which are these chosen people, they weren't even able to help him. His chosen people were his top generals, right? His top mighty men that helped the young king out and thought that they would bring the young king to victory. Right? So let's go into that history. Right? Let's go into that history. This is so here's the family tree right here. Right now we're dealing with, this is the Ptolemaic dynasty and their family tree. So the early verses of Daniel cover Ptolemy the first, the second, the third, the fourth. You understand? Right now we're dealing with the Ptolemy the fourth. We're going to transition to Ptolemy the fifth. Right? Ptolemy the fourth and Ptolemy the fifth. Now, when you're dealing with the Antiochus or the Seleucid bloodline, right now we're on Antiochus III or Antiochus the Great. All right? Antiochus III or Antiochus the Great. He's making war against Ptolemy. That battle is called the Battle of Panium. Right? Let's see if we can find that battle. Right? We kind of went into it previously on a previous lesson. Right? But let's see if we can get that. A Battle of Panium. So here's your war campaign between the Ptolemies and the Seleucids. Once more, Antiochus attacked the Ptolemaic province of Cold Syria and Phoenicia. Phoenicia is like the land of Canaan, all right? That's what it's called. And by 199 BC, he seems to have possessed of it before the Aetolian leader Scopas recovered it for Ptolemy. But that recovery proved brief, for in 198 BC, Antiochus, that's Antiochus III, defeated Scopas at the Battle of Panium near the sources of the Jordan, a battle which marks the end of Ptolemaic rule in Judea. So the battle of Scapium, Panium was a big deal, man. It led to the end of the Ptolemies, because before that time, Ptolemies, they had all of Judea. The Ptolemies are mentioned all throughout the scriptures, man. In the prologue of Sirach, Ptolemy Eucrates is mentioned. In the time of additions to Esther, you read about Ptolemies. Ptolemy II Philadelphus. The Septuagint was written by the decree of the Ptolemies, man. So the Ptolemaic dynasty had a heavy role in the dominance and subjection of Israel at that time, right? This is Ecclesiasticus, right? The prologue. It reads, "For in the 8th and 30th year coming into Egypt, Eucrates," right? That's Eucrates III, "was king, and continuing there some time, I found a book of no small learning. Therefore, I thought it most necessary for me to bestow some diligence and travail to interpret it." So Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach himself, he found the book that his fathers had during the time of the Ptolemaic Empire, man. During the time of Eucrates. So that timeline is kind of there, a little bit before the time of the Maccabees, man. Ecclesiasticus was being documented and written and formulated. Even the Septuagint was written under the hand of the Ptolemies, man. And if I'm not mistaken, that was Ptolemy, it's like your Philadelphus II. Let's see if we can get that. Right, when they conducted the library of, so let's get this real quick. See that? Biblical, this is the Septuagint. Now, the Septuagint is essentially an Old Testament version written in Greek, right? Written by 70 scholars, 70 Jews that lived in Greece. It's lucky they spoke Greek, but they lived in Egypt, chiefly Alexandria. So they took the Old Testament and they converted it into the Greek because it was originally written in the Hebrew. All of this happened, like we read in Ecclesiasticus, that happened during Eucrates. Eucrates was, let's pull this back up, Ptolemy III. All right, so if you want a timeline, you can match a lot of Daniel 11 with other chapters and verses in the Bible. All right, And then you can even match the Septuagint, and when it was written historically, with a lot of other of these Ptolemaic kings, right? So when Antiochus III defeated the Ptolemies, all of that influence that they had over the Jews left, man. That's what Daniel 11 and 14 was talking about. All right. Now let's go back to this. Let's go back to see that Septuagint real quick. Bear with me. Okay, it says biblical scholars agree that the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, that's your Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Torah in the Hebrew, which means instruction or law, right? The first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible were translated from biblical Hebrew into Koine Greek by Jews living in the Ptolemaic kingdom, probably in the early or middle part of the 3rd century. The remaining books presumably translated in the 2nd century BC. See that? So all of this happened during the time of the Ptolemies. Now check this out according to tradition. According to tradition, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, the Greek pharaoh of Egypt, this is tradition, right? Sent 72 Hebrew translators, 6 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, from Jerusalem to Alexandria to translate the Tanakh from the biblical Hebrew into Koine Greek for inclusion in his library, because he conducted this massive library with all of these ancient artifacts, scrolls, manuscripts, documentation, and books. So he wanted the scriptures in there because everybody knew about the Jews and the Most High. So they said we have to have the Bible in there, man. Like now, Esau got all of our books, all of our documentation, our Bibles, all in his libraries, man. You know? It reads, and is reported by Philo of Alexandria, Josephus, and by later sources. So there are many witnesses that can agree that Ptolemy II Philadelphus is the one who had the Torah translated into the Greek. And then during the time of Ptolemy III is where Sirach himself, when he went into Egypt and he found a lot of the other books and a lot of the other documentation. Now, even when you go to, and all this happened during the reign of the Ptolemies, right? So the reign of the Ptolemies, it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as the reign of as the Seleucids. Chiefly, Antiochus Epiphanes IV, which we'll dive into. So we're just going into that history and how much of an influence the Ptolemies had. I believe that's Esther 12, right? Let's see. Slaki, let's actually get, I believe it's chapter 2, right? So bear with me. See, they don't have, see, on the Bible app is slightly different. All right, so we want chapter 11. Okay, here it is. And the 4th year of the reign of Ptolemaeus and Cleopatra, Dositheus, who said he was priest and Levite, and Ptolemaeus, his son, brought this epistle of Purim. So Purim started off originally as an epistle, which they said was the same, and that Lysimachus, the son of Ptolemaeus, that was in Jerusalem, had interpreted it. Right? You see that? So they had to bring these documentation so it could be interpreted. Right? It had to be interpreted. So you had a lot of the influence of the Ptolemies when it came to the translations and interpretations of documentation from the Hebrew to the Greek and from the Greek to the Hebrew. So a lot of the scholarship happened in the translation during that era. Now, after the Battle of Panium, when Antiochus III came into power, it marked the end of any influence or chief influence that the Ptolemaic Empire and their sons had on the Jews. And a lot of the Jews, by the hand of Antiochus III, were taken from Egypt and relocated and put back in Judea. Right? So let's go back to Daniel 11. Right? So when the king of the north came and cast up a mount and take the most fenced cities, he took the heavy strongholds. And the arms of the south shall not withstand, because There's nothing that the Ptolemies could do against this man. The Most High set him up, man. Neither his chosen people. And again, when you go into this prophecy, his chosen people are his top generals, chiefly Scopas of Antiochus. That's one of the top men. And he was actually cut down too. And they actually thought that guy, that man would actually defeat Antiochus, man. So let's go into that. All right, dealing with the Battle of Panium. Right, the Battle of Panium or Panias was fought in 200 BC near Panias, Caesarea Philippi, right, between the Seleucid and Ptolemaic forces as part of the Fifth Syrian War. The Seleucids were led by Antiochus III the Great, while the Ptolemaic army was led by Scopas of Anatolia, because Ptolemy was too young to go to war, right? So he had his top man. Slovakia, Scopas of Anatolia, and he was a top man at that time. Huh? All right, when you go into this guy, he's the chosen people that you read about in Daniel 11. When it says his chosen people, it's talking about him and his army, because the king didn't withstand nor his top men. Scopas of Anatolia, he's the one that was defeated in that battle. All right, let's jump down. Let's read about this man. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Here he received, this is service in Egypt, the utmost favor by the ministers who ruled during the minority of the young Ptolemy V Epiphanes. So Ptolemy V, he was too young. So he sent his top men. They had regents and top men over him. And they chose this chosen man. All right. And appointed to the chief command of the army of cold Syria, where he had to make head against the ambitious design of Antiochus the Great. At first, he was completely successful and reduced the whole province of Judea into subjection to Ptolemy, but was afterwards defeated by Antiochus at the Battle of Panium, shutting himself up within the walls of Zidon after an ineffectual attempt by Ptolemy to relieve him, because Ptolemy sent other top men. I believe Eumenes is one of those men. Right? They sent other top Ptolemaic generals trying to get him out of there. He was ultimately compelled by famine to surrender. So there was nothing he could do about it. There was nothing he can do about it. Well, I believe I had one more about this man. Let's see. Bear with me. This is Salaki. I have one more thing about this man. I believe I had a timeline. Okay, Khan, 200 BC, 246 to 217, Ptolemy and Seleucus fight back and forth. 200 BC, armies of Ptolemy IV were defeated. Scopas flees to Zidon. So he fled to Zidon. Even though he was the chosen man, there was nothing he could do to fight against the Ptolemies. It's like against the Seleucids. So Daniel 11, the chosen people is Scopas and his army. He was one of the top men appointed to take down Antiochus, but he couldn't stand against him. Daniel 11 and 16. But he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him, and he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. So that he that came against him, that he is Antiochus. The him is Ptolemy V and his army. Antiochus decimated the southern king of the south army, man. And he did what he wanted to do. And he shall stand in the glorious land. The glorious land is not America. It's not New York City. It's not Miami, man. Right? The glorious land is the land of Israel, because he took over that land from the hand of the Ptolemies. Right? Let's go to the book. Let's open up another blue letter. Right? And let's prove that the glorious land. Now you could say, no, it's not talking about that. The glorious land is Egypt. The glorious land is Vegas. No, man. Right? Let's go to Daniel chapter 8. Right? Daniel chapter 8 and verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. See that? So the glorious land is the pleasant land. Right now, even though this is talking about another man, which we'll dive into later, the point of the matter is the glorious land or the pleasant land is the land of Israel. Right? Let's go to the book of Psalms. Right? Let's go to Psalms chapter 48 and verse 1. Great is Yahweh and greatly to be praised in the city of our God and the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation. The joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion. On the sides of the north, the city of the great king. So the joy of the whole earth, the glorious land, is the land of Israel. Let's get one more. Ezekiel chapter 36 and 33, right? Actually, 35. Ezekiel chapter 36 and 35. And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden. And the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. All right. You see that? So the Most High said that this land that was laid waste is become like the Garden of Eden. Eden in the Hebrew is Aidan. Aidan means paradise. So Israel in its natural state looks like the Garden of Eden. Right now, you go there, it's a desert land. Wild foxes walk upon it. Spiritually and physically, there's tumbleweed and damn bomb residue and sodomites and swine's flesh and madness, man. But it indeed is, in its natural state, the glorious land. Antiochus, after the battle of Panium, transitioned the land from the hand of the Ptolemies into the hand of the Seleucids. Right, let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus. And we brought this out on one of, I believe, volume 1, this precept, but we'll bring it out again. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 10. And that's what happens in war, man. Lands are translated. All right, Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 and verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and the riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And the kingdom in this context is our kingdom. In Daniel 11, what is that, verse 16, the kingdom is talking about Israel, man. We were given into the hand from one people and then given to the hand of another people. Why? Because of the Ptolemaics' wickedness and their injustice and murder and trying to trample the Jews with elephants, man, and getting them drunk and rape, rob, and murder. And then they got given to the hand of the Seleucids. And then you'll find out that their kingdom, that we're going to be given from them to the hand of the Romans. All right. All because of unrighteous dealings. And this precept is going to live until America is destroyed, man. All right. And after that, all of the kingdoms of the world are going to be given to Hamashiach Yahushua, pursuant to Revelation chapter 11 and verse 15. All right. So in Daniel 11, he entered into the glorious land. Let's pull up a map of how he took over. So here's a map around 200 BC of the Seleucid Empire, right? And you see the boundaries of his land. And his land includes what scholars call the Levant. All right. So he stretched all the way almost from Bactria, right? All the way up until Asia Minor and some parts of the Levant. So here's his empire. And he expanded his empire like we went into in the previous volume. The empire that his father had was decimated, man, by Ptolemy III. So when he came into power, he sought to avenge his father's death, man. So he took over a lot of the land. Then he ended up taking over at the Battle of Panium more parts of the Ptolemaic Empire. All right, let's pull up, I believe I had another map. Okay, that's something I don't want to jump the gun. All right, so let's go back to this. So Daniel chapter 11 and verse 17. He shall also set his face, and I believe when you go into this, we went into it in the previous volume. You know, Antiochus treated the Jews relatively well, right? He treated the Jews relatively well. Let's see, I had this pulled up. It's like I had a lot of information. All right, that's okay. We can just go into that, right? That's okay. Antiochus invades Egypt, resettles Jews. All right, so let's actually go into that and get that. Antiochus and the Jews. Antiochus resettled 2,000, it says Jewish, but we understand, right? Israelite families from Babylonia into the Hellenistic Anatolian regions of Lydia, Phrygia. Josephus portrays him as friendly towards the Jews of Jerusalem and cognizant of their loyalty to him. And you can read that in Josephus. And stark contrast of the attitude of his son. In fact, Antiochus III lowered taxes, granted subventions to the temple, and let the Jews live. Right? As Josephus puts, according to the law of their forefathers. Right? So they actually go into it. So when he entered into the land, he didn't do a lot of the things that his Antiochus Epiphanes IV did, man. Right? The Most High kind of put a spirit on him like the spirit of Cyrus. And Cyrus, when you read that account, and Darius and Artaxerxes, they had decrees for us to build the temple, man. 539 BC, 457, around the time of Ezra, 444, 445, scholars would say, during the time of Nehemiah. And we would go back and build. So the Most High did that to Antiochus, man. And sometimes the Lord would do that. The Lord would put the spirit on these Edomites to treat thee well. Let's get that in Proverbs, real quick, chapter 16. Right? Proverbs chapter 16 and 7. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. And the Lord could do that, man. He could take Antiochus III, a pure war, bloodthirsty Edomite, and give you a little peace, man. Right? A little peace. The Most High even says in Ezra, right? Let me see if I can get this. I believe this is Ezra 9. Right, Ezra chapter 9 and verse 8. It reads, and this was Ezra's thought and his mentality when they went back to build. All right, he recognized the grace of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai by the hand of the kings of Persia. And this is what he said, Ezra 9 and 8, in his prayer. And now for a little space, grace hath been showed from the Lord our God. Right, this was his decree, to leave us a remnant to escape and give us a nail in this holy place, that our God may lighten our eyes and give us a little reviving in our bondage. So the Lord can give you a little reviving in your bondage, man. You're not always going to be with heavy yokes around your neck, man. Right now, we have a little reviving in this bondage, man. You can travel, right? You can leave the country. Of course, you got to check in. You know, you still got to go through hell, but you're not waking up at 4:30 in the morning, man, picking cotton. You know, you might be on your couch right now, on your bed, man, on your chair. You're not on a cot, man, made of God knows what. Esau's not just kicking your door down, raping your mother, man. You have a little bit of reviving in this bondage. For we were bondmen, yet our God hath not forsaken us in our bondage, but hath extended mercy unto us in the sight of the kings of Persia. That's what he did during the reign of Antiochus III. He extended mercy on us, man, gave us time to build, get the temple right, do the sacrifices, to give us a reviving. Reviving means to live again, to set up the house of our God, and to repair the desolations thereof, and to give us a wall in Judah and in Jerusalem. And the Most High is doing that now. Man. We're repairing the desolations. We have a little bit of reviving now. We could do videos, we go to camp, we could teach publicly, we could do lives, brothers do debates, we could win souls, we could speak against the government, we can speak against the society, we can condemn religions and falsehoods and lies, man. And it allows us to build us up as a people. And this happens often during the reign of Yahweh Bashmi Awashai, which is from everlasting to everlasting, man. And the Lord had put that spirit on these kings. So in Daniel 11 and 16, when he entered into the glorious land, it was a little bit of reviving in our bondage that happened there. Now you may say, but hold on, it says which by his hand shall be consumed. It doesn't mean he destroyed the land. It just means he got the power of that land. All right. Verse Daniel 11 and 17. He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do, and he shall give him the daughter of woman, corrupting her, but she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him. Right. So Antiochus III essentially wanted to take down all of Egypt. He wanted to take the whole thing down. The battle of Panium was not enough. Him defeating Scopas and him fleeing to Zidon wasn't enough for Antiochus, man. Remember, Esau is never satisfied. That's in Habakkuk chapter 2. It says, but it cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations. Let's get that. And heapeth unto him all people. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Yea, also, because he transgressed by wine. You're going to find out this is about to apply. This doesn't just apply to the white man in America. It doesn't just apply to the Romans. This applies to all of these Edomites in power. When we read Daniel 11, this verse, this applies to Antiochus III. It applies to the white man in America. It applies to him. It applies to Julius Caesar. It applies to George Bush. It applies to the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, because the he that transgresseth is not a specific white man. It's also called white man rulers, man, that are in power. And the wine that they sinned by is their philosophies. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. So Antiochus, he didn't just stay in his land. When you pull up his land again, he didn't just stay here, man. He had ambition to take down all of Egypt. He wanted to go far and take down Asia Minor, but the Romans wouldn't let him. So he couldn't stay at home. It wasn't enough for him to recover the provinces of his father, Antiochus II Theos. It wasn't enough. He wanted more, like all of these Edomites, man. You got military bases all around the world, United States embassies all around the world, man. Churches and the fruits of their voluptuousness, man, in every place. So Habakkuk chapter 2, it says, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. Because he always wants more and more, like the grave. Hell right there is not a fiery place underground. The hell right there is the grave. And the grave desires, and it craves, and it cannot be satisfied. Grave never says it is enough, man. That's in Proverbs, the 30th chapter. Your grave always wants more bodies, just like death. And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So let's find out what happened when he wanted to go and take down all of Egypt. Let's see what happened. Right? He showed, Daniel 11 and 17, he shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom. And he wanted to amass such a great army to go into Egypt, right? And upright ones with him, which are the mighty men. Thus shall he do. And he shall give him the daughter of woman, corrupting her. So you're going to find out that he wanted to go into Egypt, but what he did was he wanted to overthrow the Egyptian empire or the Ptolemaic empire by giving them the daughter of woman. The daughter of woman is a specific woman. The specific woman is Cleopatra the First of Syria, right? And remember, Cleopatra is not a so-called black woman. Don't let these jakes that are into Egyptology, Nuwapianism, and 5%ers and all of that damn pseudoscience, man, and Gnosticism. Don't let them fool you, man. Cleopatra is a so-called white woman. So Antiochus thought, hey, look, if I can give my daughter unto the Ptolemaic Empire and plan in her mind, yeah, when you get there, you're going to take orders from me and I'm going to teach you how to overthrow them internally. Man. And that happens. Saul did that to David. Remember, Saul tried to give his daughter to David, hoping that David would fall by her. Right? Let's get that in 2 Samuel. Right? So these wicked kings, they do the same thing all the time. 2 Samuel, actually I want 1 Samuel. Right? 1 Samuel, the 18th chapter. Now check out what Saul did. The exact same thing. 1 Samuel, chapter 18, and verse, let's see. Bear with me. Salakia. Here it is, 1 Samuel 18 and 20. At my call, Saul's daughter loved David. And they told Saul, and the thing pleased him. And Saul said, I will give him her, that she may be a snare to him, and that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Wherefore Saul said to David, thou shalt this day be my son-in-law and the one of the twain. You see that? So Saul thought that he would use his daughter to overthrow David. Man. Yeah, you go with David, but I'm going to tell you, this is what you do. This is how you're going to kill him. This is how you're going to overthrow him. You're going to cause confusion and sedition. But it didn't work out like that. Man. It didn't work out the way Saul thought it would work, and it damn sure didn't work out the way Antiochus III thought it would work. Because when he gave his daughter over to the hand of the Ptolemies, it turned against him. That's why it says, but she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him, because she ended up falling in love with the Ptolemaic Empire. Man. And she ended up joining a league with the Romans. And the Romans were against the solutions. So let's go into that. All right, let's go into that. This is, let me close out some of these. All right. Let's close out a little bit of these. I'll keep that map open. So the Romans were they were coming into power at this time. So when you look at this map, right, this is the expansion of the Roman Empire from 200 to 100 BC. And they say the empire, it's not the empire, it's the Roman Republic. So they're trying, but that's okay, right? It's all right. The Roman Empire didn't start until 27 BC. The Roman Republic started around 590 or so BC. Around 753 BC, it was called the Roman Kingdom, right? So you had the Roman Kingdom, then you had the Roman Republic, then you had the Roman Empire, then it was divided, right, into the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. So during the reign of around 200 to 100 BC, it was still called the Roman Republic. The form of their government was a republic government, right? And you could kind of dive into that on your own to see exactly what that was about. Nevertheless, this map legend right here on the right gives two colors. The pink is everything that was under the Roman control during the time of Daniel chapter 11 and verse 17. Everything in the pink. So they took down Rome. They had the Samnite Wars. They took down Umbria, the Latin tribe or Latium, right? They took down all of these so-called Latin or Italian small kingdoms, the Etruscans. They took them all down, and they took down all of Italy. Then they took down, and it gives you the timeline, man. Then they went south and took down Cilicia, right? Or Cilicia, right? Those are your so-called Sicilians, man. Then they took down Sardinia in 238 BC, Corsica in 227 BC. Then they went to Spain and took down Hispania Ulterior and Hispania Citerior. So the Romans were coming into power. They were taking down people in the east. And then by 100 BC, they started taking down all of Spain, right? Parts of Iberia, Macedonia. So as they were coming into power, coming this way, Seleucus was coming into power, coming this way. And they were the world powers. They were like Russia and America in the 1960s, during the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis with Gorbachev, right? Castro. You understand? They were like that, man, during the time of Nixon and Kennedy and that 1960s style thing, man. When nations and nations were on the edge of their seat trying to figure out who was going to press the button first, man. Who was going to press that atomic bomb or nuclear bomb first? So there was a major so-called Cold War between the Seleucid Empire and the Roman Republic. As Seleucid pushed east and kept pushing and pushing, he could only go so far because he knew the Romans were there. And at this time, the Ptolemaic Empire, they were best friends with the Roman Republic. So that's why Antiochus didn't invade Egypt. Because if he invaded Egypt outright, he would have to deal with the Romans who are coming into power. So he didn't want to deal with the Romans, man. He didn't have the effort, the money, the time. So he wanted to take down Egypt through his wine. That's why we read that in Habakkuk chapter 2. Right? Let's go to 1 Maccabees 8. Right? 1 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 1. Now Judas had heard of the fame of the Romans because the Romans were coming into power. Now, even in Daniel 11, Judas didn't come into the scene yet, but it's still giving you account of the history of the Romans. Slakia, 1 Maccabees 8 and 1. Now Judas had heard the fame of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them. Yeah, they made a league with the Ptolemies, man. Ptolemy the fifth, Ptolemy the sixth. A lot of the grain and food that the Romans lived off of was produced by the Egyptians. So they had, and then a lot of the Egyptians received military support from the Romans, just like America. You got nations that give America all types of imports, man. And then turn America will give them a military base, sell them jets, sell them tanks, train their soldiers. It's the exact same thing because America is Rome all over again, that eighth beast. So they would make a league of amity with all that came into them, and that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and noble acts, which they had done amongst the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute, and what they had done in the country of Spain for the winning of the mines of the gold and silver which is there. And that's where that map or the scriptures back up the map, man. Right? Or the map backs up the scripture, should I say. So they won in the country of Spain. Judas heard what they did in Hispania Citerior. Judas heard what they did in Hispania Ulterior, man. You know, he heard the wars that were going on and how the Romans were conquering the New World, man, at that time. He wasn't the only one that heard of it. Antiochus III heard of it before him. He said, I will not go into Egypt. I do not want to deal with these Romans one-on-one, man. They're too formidable. They're too powerful. Their navy is too strong. Their army is too strong. Let me corrupt them by giving them my daughter. Right? Here's Antiochus III the Great, the Seleucid king who took on Rome. Right? He took on Rome. So let's go back into how he gave his daughter first and foremost, how he gave his daughter into the hand of, let's get this real quick, into the hand of the king. Right? I believe I had that pulled up. Let's get Cleopatra. There she is. Cleopatra the First of Syria is what Daniel chapter 11 and verse 17 is saying. Right, let's read this again. He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do, and he shall give him the daughter of women, corrupting her, because he planted seeds in her mind, how she will overthrow the Ptolemies. But she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him. And the Lord put the spirit for her to turn against him, man. All right, the Most High could do that, man. Don't the Most High do that with us? When the Most High said in Matthew the 10th chapter, right? Let's get this in Matthew chapter 10. The Lord said, man, he could have this prophecy apply to the other nations. Matthew chapter 10 and 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. And that's what happened to Antiochus III. His daughter became his enemy. Turned against him, huh? Right? Turned against him. Let's dive into that. Right? So let's go back to Cleopatra. Let's dive into that. So Cleopatra was a princess of the Seleucid Empire. And this is Cleopatra the First of Syria. You got many Cleopatras, right? Cleopatra the First. The most famous Cleopatra is Cleopatra the Seventh, who had an alleged affair with Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, the Battle of Actium that transitioned the Romans and put them into power. And so you got different Cleopatras. The one they make movies about is Cleopatra the Seventh, but this is Cleopatra the First. Cleopatra is just the title, right? It's just the title. I believe it means of your father or your father's riches or something of that nature. All right. So she was a princess of the Seleucid Empire, queen of Ptolemaic Egypt by marriage to Ptolemy V of Egypt, because he gave him his daughter, and regent of Egypt during the minority of their son, Ptolemy VI, from her husband's death in 180 BC until her own death in 176 BC. Cleopatra was the daughter of Antiochus III the Great, king of the Seleucid Empire, Slavian queen Laodicea III. So here's what we want. Let's jump down. In 197 BC, Antiochus III had captured a number of cities in Asia Minor, previously under the control of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt. The Romans supported the Egyptian interest. So the Romans was with the Ptolemies. They knew who they could use at their advantage, man. So the Romans supported the Egyptian interest when they negotiated with the Seleucid king and Lysimachia in 196 BC. In response, Antiochus III indicated his willingness to make peace with Ptolemy V and to have his daughter Cleopatra I marry Ptolemy V. But he only wanted to do that so she can overthrow the Ptolemies. They were betrothed in 195 BC, and the marriage took place in 193 BC in Raphia. At that time, Ptolemy V was about 16 years, and Cleopatra I about 10 years old. So they was freaking off, man. Right? Later on, Egypt's Ptolemaic kings were to argue that Cleopatra I had received cold Syria as her dowry, and therefore this territory again belonged to Egypt. All right, it belonged to Egypt. Let's see. So let's jump down to see how she didn't stand on his side. Just before his death, Ptolemy V had been planning a new war against the Seleucid kingdom, but Cleopatra immediately ended the war preparations and pursued a peaceful policy. Because of her own Seleucid roots and because a war would have threatened her hold on power. All right. So she was supposed to turn the kingdom over to the Seleucids, but she didn't. She had an amity and a league with the Romans. And we got that. Let's get that history. Let's see. So this is from Titus Livius. He's a well-known ancient historian and scholar. This is the History of Rome, book 37, right? Chapter 3, or part 3, right? Titus Livius. You have many scholars from that Roman time, right? That Roman Republic time, that 200 to 100 BC time period, second or third and second century, even the first century. Polybius, Titus Livius. You have a lot of Josephus. They were prominent scholars, Philo, around this time. So if you want to dive more into the history, those are well-known Jews, and some of them are nations. Philo is a Jew. Josephus is a Jew. Titus Livius, I'm not too sure his nationality. Polybius, I'm not too sure of his either, but they document and record a lot of the history that happened between the 3rd and the 1st century in the known world. So let's actually read some scholarship about how she would not be for her father, because she was in league with the Romans, man. She was in bed with the Romans. So let's jump down. During that period, 43 of the principal Aetolians, among whom were Democritus and his brother, were brought to Rome by 2 cohorts sent by Manius Acilius, and were thrown into the prison called Lautumai, or the quarry. Lucius Cornelius, the consul, ordered the cohorts after the return of the army. Check this out. Ambassadors came from Ptolemy and Cleopatra. So Ptolemy and Cleopatra sent ambassadors to Rome. You think her father wanted that? No, her father hated the Romans, man. Here she was sent to go into that empire to overthrow it, man, to destroy it. You know how many wars Antiochus III, his father, had, man, and his father before him, just for his daughter, man, to go and just turn against him. A man's foes shall be they of his own house, man. Same thing Michal did to Saul. Michal loved David and protected David and turned against Saul. Saul had his own daughter turn against him. His own son turned against him. The prophet Samuel turned against him. David, his captain, turned against him. The Most High turned against him, man. Everybody turned against Saul. And you can see that same spirit happening to Antiochus III. Everybody's turning against him. So let's read this. Ambassadors came from Ptolemy and Cleopatra, king and queen of Egypt, congratulating the Romans. You see that? Because the consul Manius Acilius had driven King Antiochus out of Greece. So that's wicked, man. Right? She congratulating the Romans for defeating her father and getting him out of Greece. Treachery, man. Treachery. And these Edomites, man, they're not loyal, man. So, like I said, everybody want to talk about Jake, the so-called black man and his daughter and their relationship and all of the stereotypical things. And what the hell is Esau doing, man? What the hell is she doing overthrowing? It's like you're overthrowing the kingdom and giving it to the hand of the Romans, man. This is madness. Absolute madness. Let's get that in. Let's see what happened to Saul. Right? Let's get we'll hold that. We'll hold that. Let's just finish this history. All right, let's actually finish that history. So, let's read it one more time. Ambassadors came from Ptolemy and Cleopatra, king and queen of Egypt, congratulating the Romans because the consul Manius Acilius had driven King Antiochus out of Greece, and advising that they should carry over their army into Asia. They said, you should take down my father, and we're going to help you. For all places, not only in Asia, but also in Syria, were filled with consternation, and the king and queen of Egypt would be prepared to do those things which the Senate should direct. So they said, we'll do whatever you want us to do. I don't care what my father says. You need me to kill my father? I will. You need me to slay him in the night? I will. You need me to summon up war elephants, horses, chariots? I will. That's wickedness, man. Thanks were returned to the king and queen, and presents were ordered to be made to their ambassadors, 4,000 asses each. So Daniel 11, when it says, thus shall he do and give him the daughter of women, he gave Ptolemy V, his own daughter, Cleopatra I of Syria, and he corrupted her and gave her plans to overthrow the Romans. Overthrow the Ptolemies. But you see what the hell happened. But she should not stand on his side, neither be for him. So she was with the Romans, turned against her own father, her own flesh and blood. Man. You see that? Her own seed. So these Edomites, man, they're treacherous. Treacherous at the table. Eateth and wipeth their mouth and saith, I have done no wickedness, man. Right? So that thing actually happened. Cleopatra I, man. Right? Cleopatra I. I actually want to get that in a second. It's like your Samuel. Right? Let's jump down. Let's go to 1 Samuel real quick. Right? 1 Samuel 18. Actually, let's get the account. Right, bear with me. But she actually defended David, man. Right? This is 1 Samuel 19 and verse. Let's jump to 11. Saul also sent messengers unto David's house to watch him and to slay him in the morning. At my call, David's wife told him, saying, if thou save not thy life tonight, tomorrow thou shalt be slain. So the Most High put a spirit on her to betray her father. Same thing he did with Cleopatra I of Syria. She was supposed to overthrow David, man. But she helped David out. Said, if you don't save yourself right now, you're going to be killed. So Michal let David down through a window, and he went and fled and escaped. And Michal took an image and laid it in the bed and put a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster and covered it with a cloth. So it kind of made an image like he was laying in the bed. And when Saul sent messengers to take David, she said he is sick. And Saul sent the messengers again to David, saying, bring him up to me in the bed that I may slay him. So he's losing his mind. That's wicked, man. He's sick. So what? That's off, man. Oh, he's sick. Well, so what? Carry the whole bed. I want to kill him while he's sick. So Saul, his mind was bad, man. What type of brother says that, man? Oh, yeah, he's sick. So what, man? Carry the whole bed and let's kill him while he's sleeping sick. So Saul's mind is bad, man. What a horrible thing to do. But Michal, she holding it down. This is the true definition of holding it down. And when the messengers would come in, behold, there was an image in the bed with a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster. And Saul said unto Michal, why hast thou deceived me so, and sent away mine enemy, that he is escaped? And Michal answered Saul, he said unto me, let me go. Why should I kill thee? So she had to say what she had to say, man. She said, hey, look, he said he was going to kill me. So she held it down for her husband, man, at that time. Right? At that time. So ain't nothing new about a daughter betraying her father, man. It happened to Saul, to a wicked king, and it happened to another wicked king, Antiochus III. So let's go back to Daniel chapter 11, and let's read on. So she turned against him. Daniel 11 and verse 18. After this, meaning after he was betrayed, shall he turn his face unto the isles, and shall take many. But a prince for his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease. Without his own reproach, he shall cause it to turn upon him. So after he couldn't use his daughter to overthrow the Ptolemies, he said, all right, that's all right. Time for plan B. Plan B, I'm going to go to war my damn self. I'm going to take the matter into my own hand. This is what Antiochus said. And I'm going to push east. And a lot of these Greek city-states, I'm going to start taking down. And I'm going to push my way, and I'm going to take down the Romans. Then the Romans said, well, what the hell are you doing, man? Who do you think you are? Don't you know that we the new guys? Now, did they say it like this? No. But you know, Jake, this is how we break it down, man. We throw some salt on it. So the Romans said, what the hell do you think you're doing, man? We them guys now. You all up on our territory, man. You keep pushing up on our turf. We got something for you. So the Romans, they summoned up their own army, and they started coming against Antiochus. And there's a chief battle in Daniel 11 and 18. It's called the Battle of Magnesia. And the Battle of Magnesia is when the Romans defeated Antiochus III. That's when that happened, man. That's what this means, but a prince of his own behalf. So this prince is Scipio, not Leo Scipios Africanus, but his younger brother. And the reproach that Antiochus was doing against the Romans ceased. The reproach was some pushing against the Roman territory. So the Romans sent their top man against him, or their second man. Because the Romans were really fighting against Hannibal in this time. Around the time of Daniel 11 and 18, they were too busy, had their hands full. So the Romans was fighting a war in Carthage against Hannibal, Barcus. And if you know that history, you know that wasn't an easy win for the Romans. So Leo Scipios Africanus was down there in Carthage fighting against Hannibal at that time. So they fighting down south. And then you got Antiochus III coming in. So they got to send Leo Scipios Africanus' brother against him to fight against him. So this is a big deal. This is a major change of power, man. Major empires are coming on the scene, and major empires are falling away. Carthage is falling away. The Seleucid Empire is falling away, and the Romans are coming into power. So let's go into this, right? So this is I want to get the king that took on Rome, right? Let's get that article, right? So let me close out a few of these. Okay, let's get this, right? Put it up before, but let's dive into it. Antiochus III the Great, the Seleucid king who took on Rome. Right? That's why it's beautiful to go into the history, man. The Bible covers everything. Everybody say the Bible not real. Who wrote that? The white man wrote the book. How could a so-called white man write all of this history, had the account of the creation, the end of the world, write Revelation, the account of David and Saul, and at the same time know what Elijah was doing? What kind of white man is this, man? This has to be how could a so-called white man write the Psalms? Read the Psalms. What kind of white man is writing Psalms? 137, 73, 37, 1, 2, 42, 27, 21. What type of white man is writing the book of Job? Stop giving the so-called white man all that damn credit, man. He really wrote the whole book of Job. Read Job, man. You find some so-called white man that could put some type of wisdom like that together with all of those precepts and knowledge. Proverbs, really. When the last time you heard a so-called white man speak a proverb, man? Ecclesiasticus, prophecy, the beast and the seven. No, he can't do that, man. This was written from on high. Only Yahweh Ba'ashmi Awashai could put it in the heart of Daniel to know all of these things in the end of the world, man. Only the Most High could do that. So you got entire accounts, even the time of the Seleucids and the Romans, that the Most High documented, man. Right? So let's read this. It's like Antiochus III the Great, the Seleucid king who took on Rome. Antiochus III the Great was a Seleucid king who traveled to India, took Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, in his court and campaigned against Rome. Yeah, Hannibal actually came into the court, and I believe it was Antioch, if I'm not mistaken, that Antiochus had, man. So if you know about Hannibal, you know about Antiochus III. A lot of times, Jake, you go into the scholarship, and there's nothing wrong with it. You say Africa's named after white man, Leo Scipios Africanus, right? But then you know, too, at that same time was the time of Antiochus III and Daniel 11, right? And you could kind of link that up. You could go to Daniel 11 and speak about it, like about Leo Scipios Africanus. You could kind of link it up in history. So let's go into this. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Antiochus III the Great, the Seleucid king, was a fascinating personality. He took Hannibal in his court, campaigned all the way to India, and even stood against Rome in a war that would seal the fate of the Seleucids. For a brief moment, it seemed as if he would be the one to stand up to Rome and reverse the course of its declining empire. However, history had other plans. So he was the last man that could take down the Romans. Last mighty, so-called mighty man. Right, let's jump down. Right, let's jump down to how he took down or had to fight against the Romans. All right, bear with me. I want to jump down. He had to deal with the Parthians and Bactria, right? But I want to jump down to the Romans. So that's Hannibal. And Hannibal was a Jake, right? Hannibal was a Jake. Scholars say, okay, you know, he was African. No, Hannibal was a Jake. So Hannibal actually was in a court, somewhat as an officer, in the court of Antiochus III. All right. Somewhat in the court. So Hannibal and Antiochus III had a league with one another because the Romans was a common enemy to them both. Remember, the Punic Wars were going on at this time. And then you had the Roman or the Macedonian Wars, or specifically the Roman Seleucid War. Right? Let's show that real quick. Let's see. I had that as well. All right, let's get this. It's like, and I want to close out some of these. It'll help me keep track. So this is your Roman Seleucid War. All right. The Roman Seleucid War from 192 to 188 BC, also called the Aetolian War, Antiochene War, Syrian War, and Syrian Aetolian War, was a military conflict between the two coalitions, one led by the Roman Republic and the other led by the Seleucid king Antiochus III. The fighting took place in modern-day southern Greece, the Aegean Sea, and Asia Minor. The war was the consequence of a cold war between both powers. Like we said, it was a cold war, man. All right, both of them were ramping up their army. Both of them were trying to decide who was going to take Greece down, which started in 196 BC. In this period, the Romans and the Seleucids attempted to settle spheres of influence by forging alliances with the small Greek city-states. That's why Daniel 11 says he's going to take the Isles, right? In Daniel 11, it says, after this, he shall turn his face into the Isles. The Isles are the Greek city-states. The Achaean League, the Corinthian League, those smaller Greek city-states, Sparta, Corinth, and they were both, the Romans said, we want these guys on our side. And then the Seleucids said, well, we want these guys on our side. So they fought in the middle, out in Greece, man. Whoever won that battle in that war would be sole autonomous ruler over Greece and the known world. And if you took down Greece, you take down everybody. All right? So that's what this is talking about. Let's go back to this. Also, important were the Romans and the Seleucids' conciliable, visions of the Aegean. The Romans saw Greece as part of their sphere of influence and Asia Minor as a buffer area, while the Seleucids saw Asia Minor as a core part of their empire with Greece as the buffer zone. So they're both meeting in the middle. Man. They're both meeting in the middle. Let's see this map. Here's the map right here. So you see all of these different colors, right? That's all right. The main colors you want to look at is the dark green, because the dark green are Roman protectorates. These are Greek city-states that were in league with the Romans. All right? These are Greek city-states that are in league with the Romans. Look at the dark green, right? Corsica, or Corsiera, Epidemius, Apollonia, right? There's a lot of dark green right here. And the dark green, you can see the Romans pushing this way. The Romans are pushing east. Then you see the Seleucids. The Seleucids, they pushing this way. Right? And they're fighting over who's going to get Greece and Macedonia. So we would take down some of the isles. And some of the isles said, yeah, we want to be with the Seleucids. Then some of the isles said, hey, look, no, we want to be with the Romans. Just like now, man. Just like now. Everybody's picking a side for World War III. Some people want to be with the Russians. Some people want to be with the Babylon. And they're trying to figure out who's the next big power. So no new thing is under the sun. All right. So you got the Roman protectorates, and you got the Seleucid kingdom. And you got independent states, and they're trying to make up their own mind. Huh? So this was the major battle zone for the Roman Seleucid War. All right. So let's go back to this. After the Aetolian League triggered a small war which drew Antiochus, Rome and the Seleucids came to blows. So that Cold War blew up to a big war. Antiochus landed in Greece, but was forced to retreat across the Aegean after being defeated at the Battle of Thermopylae by the Council of 191 BC, Manius Acilius Glabrio. The Aetolians attempted to reach a settlement with the Romans, but were unsuccessful in the face of excessive Roman demands. Antiochus' naval forces in the Aegean were defeated. So Antiochus getting whooped on, huh? And two major engagements, which saw the Roman coalition gain naval superiority. So the Romans had a strong navy. The Council of 190 BC, Lucius Cornelius Scipio, see that? Then pursued Antiochus into Asia Minor with the support of Pergamene king Eumenes II. So Leo Cornelius Scipio, let's pull him up. He is the one. Where's this devil at? He's the one that's actually going to take down Antiochus III. Okay? He's the one that's going to actually take down Antiochus III. Lucius Cornelius Scipio Asiaticus. So one was named Africanus. His brother was named Africanus because he took down the land of Ham. Then one was named Asiaticus because he took down Asia. So Leo Scipio Asiaticus was the brother of Leo Scipio Africanus. two Edomites who divided two continents with the edge of the sword. All right, so let's go into this. Lucius Cornelius Scipio Asiaticus was a general and statesman of the Roman Republic. He was the son of Publius Cornelius Scipio and the younger brother of Scipio Africanus. Remember, Scipio Africanus fought in the Punic Wars. His brother, Scipio Asiaticus, fought in the Macedonian Wars or the Roman Seleucid Wars. He was elected consul in 190 BC, and later that year led with his brother the Roman forces to victory at the Battle of Magnesia. The Battle of Magnesia. The Battle of Magnesia is what Daniel 11 is talking about. Daniel 11 and 18 is about Leo Scipio Asiaticus and the Romans defeating Antiochus III the Great at the Battle of Magnesia during the Roman Seleucid Wars. That's what Daniel 11 and 18 is talking about. As they fought over autonomy and power and sovereignty of Greece, they came to blows, and the Romans said, "We got something for you. We're going to send a brother of Leo Scipio Africanus against you." That's who this prince is, but a prince of his own behalf. And this prince is not talking about a man that just sits on the throne or, a man with a crown. That's where we got to go into the Hebrew. This word prince is really talking about a military commander. Let's get that word in the Hebrew, right? And it reads chief, ruler, commander. Chief commander in war. So it's really talking about a military general. Yeah, the English, KJV says a prince, but it's really a military war commander that would stand up, all right, and defeated him, right? So a prince or a military commander for his own behalf, because his own behalf was pleading for the Romans. He was on the Roman side. Shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease, meaning he stopped the Seleucids from trying to take down Rome. Without his own reproach, he shall cause it to turn upon him. So he ended up defeating them at the Battle of Magnesia. Let's pull up the Battle of Magnesia. Okay, what do we have here? Let's see. Battle of Magnesia. I have this pulled up. Okay, here we have it. All right, so the Battle of Magnesia. This was one of the top battles in the known world, right? The Battle of Magnesia took place in either December 190 or January 189 BC. It was fought as part of the Roman Seleucid War, pitting forces of the Roman Republic led by the council. A council is just a title, all right? It was the top office during the Roman Republic. Then when it transitioned into Julius Caesar and Octavian, it turned into the emperor. But before emperor was the highest office was the Roman council. Okay? So you got to look at that, how that Roman Republic set their government up. Led by the consul Lucius Cornelius Scipio Asiaticus and the allied kingdom of Pergamum under Eumenes II against a Seleucid army of Antiochus III the Great. The two armies initially camped northeast of Magnesia at Sicilium and Asia Minor, attempting to provoke each other into a battle on favorable terrain for 2 days. When the battle began, Eumenes managed to throw the Seleucid left flank into disarray, while Antiochus' cavalry overpowered his adversaries on the right flank of the battlefield. His army center collapsed before he could reinforce it. Modern estimates give 10,000 dead for the Seleucids and 5,000 dead or killed for the Romans. The battle resulted in a decisive Roman Pergamene victory, which led to the Treaty of Apamea that, here's the point, that ended Seleucid domination in Asia Minor. That's the point. The Seleucids are no longer the power horse. They're no longer those guys. They used to be. You know, Antiochus III, he was a powerful general, but he met his match when it came against the Romans. Esau against Esau, the Romans against the Greeks. And he's meeting his match like if Russia and America collided in the 1960s, man. Only one would win. Only one would win. Who won? The Romans. Now, there's debate. On a side note, there's debate that if the Roman Republic didn't have the help of Eumenes II, would they become the Roman Empire, man? Would they actually grow? You know, there's a lot of debate about that. Because the Romans didn't fight the Seleucids one-on-one. They had help. Now, a lot of scholars would also say, well, hold on, well, the Seleucids had help from allied Greek city-states, but they didn't have help from a more stronger Pergamum empire, man, or kingdom. You know? But that's to the Most High any damn way. Because the Most High set up Eumenes II to be able to fight against Seleucids. Right? You have kings that do that, man. When you read the book of Genesis, one of the first major wars is the battle of the 4 kings against the 5. And kings always link up to fight against another king. That's part of history, right? Genesis chapter 14 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations. These made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinar, king of Admah, and Shemebar, king of Zeboim, and the king of Belam, which is Zoar. And they were joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. So this is the battle of 4 kings against the 5. This is like a world war, man. This was like a first global war in the ancient world during the time of Abraham. The battle of 4 kings against the 5. So kings always link up, man, and go to war. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 18. 2 Chronicles chapter 18 and verse 3. And Ahab, king of Israel, said unto Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, wilt thou go with me to Ramoth Gilead? And he answered him, I am as thou art, and my people as thy people, and we will be with thee in the war. So this is a common thing, man. You see nations link up all the time. Countries link up all the time. And they go to war. The king of Israel and the king of Judah and the king of Edom, right? Against the Moabites, the Syrians, the Ammonites. The battle of the 4 kings against the 5. World War 1 and 2, you had the Allies and the Axis. You had France, England, America, and Russia in World War 1. Right? Then in World War 2, you had Japan against Germany. Japan and Germany and Italy. You understand? And they fought against the Allied powers of America, France, England. Right? So this is nothing new. Daniel 11 about these kings, Eumenes II and Leo Scipio's Asiaticus, is nothing new. That's what this is talking about, right? The war and the battle of Magnesia. All right? Daniel 11 and 19. Then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall and not be found. So after that war, Antiochus had to go to hell back home. Huh? And he died. Antiochus III died. How did he die? He died by the hand of some heathen, huh? Robbing their temple. Because you got to understand, when you lose a war, there's ramifications behind that. A lot of these countries that lose war, you got to pay up, man. You got to pay reparations, war damages. There's war crimes, right? People get taken captive. There's hostages. Land has to be seized. Boundaries have to be reestablished. So what the Romans did to Antiochus III is they had in the treaty of Apamia, they said, look, since we beat you and you caused us so much hell, you owe us. Because we had to pay our soldiers. We had to pay for ships. We had men that died. Pay up, man. Pay up. So we had to pay up. But he didn't have enough money at home, man. So he went to go rob other temples from other nations. And they killed him. These other nations killed him, man. And he died in his folly. Antiochus III, the great war general, died as a fool. Let's get that. Let's see what happened to this man. So here's the Treaty of Apamia. Okay? And it kind of tells you what happened. The Treaty of Apamia was a peace treaty conducted in 188 BC between the Roman Republic and Antiochus III, ruler of the Seleucid Empire. It ended the Roman Seleucid War. The treaty took place after Roman victories at the Battle of Thermopylae, the Battle of Magnesia, and after Roman and Rhodian naval victories over the Seleucid navy. So let's see what happened in the treaty. The treaty, according to Appian, right, another Greek historian, obliged Antiochus III to abandon Europe. So he had to leave Europe, huh? Altogether, and all of Asia west of the Taurus Mountains. What else did he have to do? Well, he lost. He had to surrender all the war elephants in his possession and was limited to 12 warships for the purpose of keeping his subjects under control. See that? But he was allowed to build more if he was attacked. Antiochus was barred from recruiting mercenaries north of Taurus and entertaining fugitives from the same. So he couldn't take anybody into his land that was a fugitive. Antiochus had to give 20 hostages. A lot of these hostages was part of his bloodline. You'll find out as you go through this history, some of these men he gave up was his own family. Huh? And ancient nations will do that. The Babylonians did that. They took Zedekiah and they slew his sons. Why would they take your sons too? Because they got to cut that whole bloodline off, man. Because a lot of these fathers, they were planning their son how to rule the kingdom, right? How to take over next, how to administer the offices and the justice. So they'll take all of the kings, man. You know, and they'll take them hostage, and they'll raise them up as their own and turn them against their father. So that's some treachery, man. Take somebody's son captive and teach him to hate his father. That's what Esau does, man. It took our sons hostages, man. Right? Had Willie Lynch and all of this weird sorcery, man, and evil documentation and decrees, and turned the sons against the fathers and a father against the sons. So Antiochus had to give 20 hostages. He had to pay up, right? Whom the Roman council would select. So they said, no, we don't want that guy. We want that guy. The Romans said, no, we don't want that. Give us him. Yeah, give us that guy. We want that guy. We want that guy, and that guy. The hostages should be changed every 3rd year, except the son of Antiochus. So his son, man, got taken. In the future, he would maintain no elephants, man. That's like you not being able to build military tanks, right? We don't want you building no more military tanks. A lot of these nations, they stop nations from building missiles. You can't build a nuclear bomb. We don't want Iran to obtain nuclear technology. We're limiting this nation from nuclear capabilities. That's what America does, man. They're always trying to tell nations what they can and can't do, man. What they can have, what they can't have. Same thing. This with they're the Romans. The Seleucids were forced to pay an indemnity. That's a heavy fine, right? War reparations. See that? Like after World War I, the Germans, and I mean, really World War II as well, they had to pay heavy war reparations, man, when they lost the World War. All right? See that? The Treaty of Versailles and the London schedule of payments required Germany to pay 132 billion gold marks, equivalent to $33 billion in reparations to recover civilian damage caused during the war. So they have to pay up. Huh? That's part of what the Romans make you do. Right? The Romans said, pay up, and we're going to conquer you and take you down. So they did the same thing during the Roman Seleucid War. And that was part of the Treaty of Atmia. This was in the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. Treaty of Atmia was around 190 or so BC. So the Seleucids were forced to pay an indemnity of 15,000 talents of silver of debt, 500 euboic talents, immediately 2,500 more when the Roman Senate ratified the treaty, and installments, check this out, installments of 1,000 talents each to be delivered to Rome annually for the next 12 years. So yeah, that's big time, man. That make you go broke. You can't do nothing with that, man. You can't do nothing with that. It's called paying tribute. Solomon had these nations pay tribute. Jehoshaphat had these nations pay tribute. Uzziah had to bring sheep, 1,000 sheep a year, certain cattle a year, you know, corn and wine. That's what it is. Let me get that precept real quick. All right, that's what these nations make you do, man. Right? Israel, we did that to the nations. It's part of war. These are the things that happen in war. War is not just, okay, we defeated you. Okay, you go home, and we'll go home. No, man. Right? That's not how this thing works. Let's get let's go to, let's see what I want. Right, bear with me. I want to get this precept in Chronicles. Right? Let's go to 2nd Chronicles, chapter 26 and verse, let's see, bear with me. Right? I want to get this account. Okay, 2nd Chronicles, chapter, I may get it, bear with me. All right, that's all right. Right? That's okay. The Spirit had me get it later, Lord willing. All right. I wanted to get this precept, but that's okay. Right? We'll get it through the Spirit. We can get another account though. Let's get another account in the time of Solomon. I wanted the other king, right? This is 1 Kings chapter 4 and 34. And there came of all people that hear the wisdom of Solomon from the kings of all the earth, which had heard of his wisdom. So all of these kings, when they came to Solomon, they didn't just bring opening ears. A lot of these kings, they brought gold, silver, right? They brought wealth. You understand? They brought all of these things unto King Solomon. Right? This 1 Kings 4 and 21. And Solomon reigned over all kingdoms from the river unto the land of the Philistines, and unto the border of Egypt. They brought presents and served Solomon all the days of his life. And Solomon's provision for one day was 30 measures of fine flour and 60 measures of meal, 10 fat oxen, and 20 oxen out of the pastures, and 100 sheep, besides harts and roebucks and fallow deer and fatted fowl. Right? So they had to bring Solomon gifts, man. Right? They're going to bring Yahweh gifts, man. When you read Psalm chapter 72, Psalm chapter 72 and verse 10. The kings of Tarshish and of the isles shall bring presents. The kings of Sheba and Seba shall offer gifts. Those are war reparations, man. Yea, all kings shall fall down before him. All nations shall serve him. That's why it says that the forces of the Gentiles shall be converted unto thee. Let's get that in Isaiah chapter 60. Those are war reparations. Isaiah chapter 60 and 5. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. So when we're in power, they're going to have to pay war reparations, man. They're going to have to cough up the dough. All of their wealth is coming to Jerusalem because it's ours, man. The multitude of camels shall cover thee, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. All they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the praises of Yahweh. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto thee. They shall come up with acceptance on my altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory. See that? I will glorify the house of my glory. These are war reparations, taxes, and tribute. And there won't be a treaty with the other nations. It'll just be some clemency. Huh? Same thing with the Treaty of Atmia. They had to pay 1,000 talents each to be delivered to Rome for the next 12 years. What else happened? The Seleucids also agreed on to an indemnity of 540,000 modi of corn. Right? So they had to cough up the corn. He was also forced to surrender all prisoners. Like all our prisoners are going to be let go out of the pit. And deserters to his enemies, and to King Eumenes II, the king of Pergamum, whatsoever remains of the possessions he acquired by his agreement with Attalus, the father of Eumenes. All right. So his whole empire was taken down. His whole empire was taken down. See that? His whole empire got pushed back, man. All right, it got pushed back. So let's go back to Daniel chapter 11. Right? Daniel 11 and 19. Then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall and not be found. So he tried to spoil and rob a temple and then got killed as he tried to do so. Let's get that history. Right? He tried to spoil and rob a temple, but then got killed, man. Right? Let's actually get that. Get that history that we had. Right? So like I may have to just pull it up again. All right, let's jump down in this. See how he died. Seleucid Empire versus Rome. We covered that. Want to go into his own death. All right, Antiochus humiliated, the Treaty of Atmia or Pamia. All right, let's go into how this man died as a fool. Let's see if they have it. Bear with me. If not, I'll have to type it in, right? So let's actually show, right, Antiochus. Antiochus robs temple. All right, let's pull that up. Antiochus III, because that actually happened, man. Okay, here we have it. So let's pull this up. So this man died a fool, man. All right, Antiochus the third. Here's the treaty. He was obliged to pay an indemnity of 15,000 talents over a period of 12 years, surrender his elephants and his fleet, and furnish hostages, including his son Antiochus IV. Right, and everybody knows about Antiochus IV. If you don't, we'll talk about him too. Antiochus Epiphanes, man. His kingdom was now reduced to Syria, Mesopotamia, and western Iran. In 187, Antiochus was murdered in a Baal temple near Susa, where he was exacting tribute in order to obtain much needed revenue. So he was running out of money. So he went to this temple and started trying to rob it, man. And they killed him. So he fell and he died. They didn't want to say it, I guess, in this article that he robbed them. They want to say he was exacting tribute. He was robbing them, man. You know, trying to take all of the gold he can to pay all that damn money he owed. And they stuck him. I think they stabbed him up. That's what Daniel 11 and 19 is talking about. When he got jammed up, when he shall stumble and fall and not be found. So Antiochus the third died, man. Right? He died. He gave up the ghost. And what happened after that? Right? Let's see what happened after that. Right? So he came in as a war general and he died as a fool. Verse 20. See how much time I got, where I'm at with time. Right? Bear with me. See where we at with time. All right. All right, let's see. I gotta get the rest of this in, right? Daniel 11 and 20. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes and the glory of the kingdom. But within a few days, he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. So when Antiochus died, you had somebody stand up in his power. The man that stand up in his power, let's actually get this account. The man that came, that ruled after him. Let's see. Let's get not Demetrius the first. Let's go back to his bloodline. Other solutions. Right? Seleucus the fourth Philopator. All right, Seleucus the fourth Philopator. Let's pull him up. Right? Let's go to the book of. Let's pull this guy up. Seleucus the fourth Philopator. All right, bear with me. Seleucus Philopator. So he was the next man up. All right, he was the next man up. Seleucus the fourth Philopator, ruler of the Seleucid Empire, reigned from 187 to 175 BC over a realm consisting of Syria. All right. Here's what Daniel chapter 11 and verse 20 is talking about, the raiser of taxes. Because he had to get all of this money, man. He didn't raise taxes because he just wanted to. He got to pay these Romans, man. He owed big money. They owe so much money that they sent Heliodorus to rob the temple in Jerusalem. We're going to read that in 2 Maccabees, man. In 2 Maccabees, a Seleucus Philopator sent Heliodorus to rob the temple. Right? To rob the temple. So let's pull up this damn devil, man. So that's why it says in Daniel 11 and 20 that he didn't die in battle. Right? Or in anger. He died and he was assassinated by Heliodorus. Heliodorus came back and assassinated this guy, man. The raiser of taxes. So let's pull this guy up. Right? Let's pull this man up. We're not going to read this whole thing. As part of the treaty, Seleucus oversaw the supply of grain and scouts to Rome and Pergamum forces during their campaign against the Galatians. So he had to cough up food and supplies. And 187, Antiochus died after looting the temple of Baal and Elimaeus. So that's where Antiochus died, robbing the temple. And Seleucus took over as Basilius. He renewed an alliance with the Achaean League and almost joined Antiochus the first invasion of Galatia. All right, let's jump down to this map. On September 3rd, Seleucus was assassinated by Heliodorus, one of his leading bureaucrats, right? So this guy raised taxes up to try to pay back the debts of his father and got assassinated by Heliodorus. Let's go to 2 Maccabees 3. First, let's go to 1 Maccabees 8, and then jump down to Heliodorus. 1 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse, let's see. Right, 1 Maccabees chapter 8. And I want to get this precept. Right, 1 Maccabees chapter 8 and 6. How also Antiochus, the great king of Asia, that came against them in battle, having 120 elephants with horsemen and chariots, and a very great army, was discomfited by them. And how they took him alive, and covenanted that he and such as reigned after him should pay a great tribute and give hostages, and that which was agreed upon. So you link up the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 8, verses 6 and 7. You link that up with Daniel chapter 11 and verse 19 and 20. Right? So 19 and 20 is about him trying to pay up the money that he owed. Tell you that in 1 Maccabees 8. So his son had to keep paying up that money. His son could come up with the money. So his son sent Heliodorus to rob the temple in Jerusalem. So let's get that in 2 Maccabees. 2 Maccabees, the 3rd chapter. All right. 2 Maccabees, chapter 3 and verse. Let's start at, boy, this whole thing is good, man. This whole chapter is good. All right. 2 Maccabees chapter 3. I'm not going to read the whole thing. We'll start at verse 1. Now, when the holy city was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were kept very well, because of the godliness of Onias the high priest and his hatred of wickedness. See that? It came to pass that even the kings themselves did honor the place and magnify the temple with their best gifts. And so much that Seleucus, king of Asia, of his own revenues, bear all the cost belonging to the service of the sacrifices. That's speaking about when Antiochus III, the Great, how we went into earlier, how he was paying for sacrifices and helping the Jews resettle and give them money and give them gold. We read that already. All right. But one, Simon of the tribe of Benjamin, was made governor of the temple, fell out with the high priest about the disorder of the city. So they started beefing. Let's jump down. And told him the treasure in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money. Actually, let's read on. I'm going to read 5, Salakia. And when he could not overcome Onias, he gat him to Apollonius, the son of Thracius, who was governor of Cold Syria and Phenice, and told him the treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money, so that the multitude of their riches, which did not pertain to the account of the sacrifices, was innumerable, and that it was possible to bring all into the king's hand. So they said, look, man, if you want to pay back these debts, I got something for you. I got somewhere you could go. You don't got to rob this temple and die like your father. Go to Jerusalem. They got infinite sums of money. Man. And we did have infinite sums of money. Right now we broke, man. We live in check to check. There was a time when we had an infinite sums of money. More than Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. We had infinity. Everybody was eating good. Everybody was living large, man. So you had this wicked Israelite, because he fell out with his brother, told the heathen to tell a king that we got money you could take from Onias, man. Kill Onias, take the money. That's wicked, man. Who goes before the other nations and tell them how much money the Most High got, how much money the priesthood is, or they have? And you can bring it back so we can pay back the Romans. That's wicked. Wickedness. Now, when Apollonius came to the king is Seleucus Philopator, the raiser of taxes in Daniel chapter 11. Now, when Apollonius came to the king and had showed him of the money whereof he was told, the king chose out Heliodorus, his treasurer, and sent him with the commandment to bring him the foresaid money. He said, go rob them. We're going to pay these Romans back. Go rob the Jews. So forthwith, Heliodorus took his journey under a color of visiting the city of cold Syria and Phoenice, but indeed to fulfill the king's purpose. So he said, look, I'm going to act like I'm visiting, but I'm going to rob them when I get there. And when he was come to Jerusalem and had been courteously received of the high priest of the city, he told him what intelligence was given him of the money, and declared wherefore he came, and asked if these things were so indeed. He said, look, I heard y'all got a whole bunch of money. Word is out that y'all got infinite sums of money. Is it true or is it not true? Let's see what happened. Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children. Yeah, we got all that money, man, but it's for the women and children. So they pulled a Hezekiah. Don't no so-called white man ever needs to know how much money you got in your account, man. I mean, what is that going to get you? What are you telling him that for? Yeah, I got this in my checkings. I got this in my savings. Here's my routing number. Here's my checking number. Here's my PIN code. Here's my credit card, my debit card. You can have it all. So let's see what happened. I'm going to jump down. Boy, this whole chapter, man, this whole chapter is out of control. So we got to jump down for sake of time. Okay, 2 Maccabees 3 and 23. Nevertheless, Heliodorus executed that which was decreed. Now, as he was there present himself, with this guard about the treasury, so he about to take the money. Let's see what happened. The Lord of spirits and the Prince of all power caused a great apparition, so that all that presumed to come in with him were astonished at the power of the Most High, and fainted and were sore afraid. So he about to rob the temple. The Most High put an apparition on him, make him see a vision, put him in a trance, man. Let's see what happened. For there appeared unto them a horse with a terrible rider upon him, and adorned with a very fair covering, and he ran fiercely and smote at Heliodorus with his forefeet. And it seemed that he that sat upon the horse had complete harness of gold. So he about to rob the temple, and the Lord sent angels down. And the angel come down and drop kick him, man, off his horse, man. Imagine you about to do something wicked, and the angel come down and just drop kick you, man. Moreover, 2 other young men appeared before him, notable in strength, excellent in beauty, and comely in apparel, who stood by him on either side and scourged him continually and gave him many sore stripes. Then you had 2 other angels came down. And excuse my language, but they beat his ass, man. Right? The Lord could send an angel down to just beat you, man. Just whip you and beat you. In the neck, in the head, in the face. He's probably up there trying to defend it, trying to block, and the angel just going to work. Then it's another angel going to work. Then another angel drop kicked him. Stop playing with the Most High, man. And Heliodorus fell suddenly into the ground. It was compassed with great darkness. But they that were with him took him up and put him into a litter. So he getting beat. He getting beat up by these angels. Can't nobody see what's going on. He trying to block. The angel just whipping him up, man. Going to the body on him. right? Now you can say, hold on, well, I thought a man could be the angel. Didn't Jacob wrestle? He's not Jacob. He's a heathen, ready to rob the temple of the Most High. And the angel just going to the body on him. Huh? So his men kind of try to get him out of there. So they picking him up and putting him in the litter. Hey, we got to go, man. What the hell is going on? Thus, for 2 Maccabees 3 and 28, thus him that lately came with a great train, and with all his guard into the said treasury, they carried out, being unable to help himself with his weapons, and manifestly they acknowledged the power of God. You see that? They straightway acknowledged the power of God. So that's the man who was sent to rob the temple, Heliodorus, and he got his ass beat, man. Straight up and down for trying to rob the Lord. Stop playing with the Most High, man. Like you just walk into the treasury and just rob the treasury, man. Like the Lord don't see that. So when Daniel 11 and 20 says, for Slakia, then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes, that's Seleucus Philopator, and he sent Heliodorus to rob the temple, right? In the glory of the kingdom, within a few days, he should be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. So when Heliodorus got beat, what did he do after that? He came and said, well, what the hell did you get me into, man? You sent me down to Jerusalem, and a bunch of angels beat me to death, man. All right. I'm going to do something to you. And he came back after he got beat in Jerusalem and killed this guy, man. He killed the raiser of taxes. Right? Seleucus, man. Let's read that. Seleucus IV Philopator. See what happened to this guy. On September 3rd, 175 BC, Seleucus was assassinated by Heliodorus. He said, what the hell did you get me into, man? Never in my life did I get beat by an angel. Who the hell do you think you are? So he held a grudge, man. Right? And rightfully so. He just got sent to rob. It's a setup. He might have thought it was a damn setup, man. Imagine the brother send you somewhere, man. Hey, look, can you run to the store for me? And a bunch of angels sitting up there waiting. Right? And he just beat you to damn half to death. Man, you won't, not that you should, but that's what these heathen are, man. So he killed this guy. Now you can say, well, that's not the reason. The real reason is this. Well, hey, look, that's what happened, right? Seleucus was assassinated by Heliodorus, one of his leading bureaucrats. The ancient sources do not record a motive for this act. Yeah, well, the Bible does. Esau, your ancient books don't really tell you what happened, but the Most High tell you what happened, man. Read 2 Maccabees and read the motive for this act. Possibly it was simple lust for power, or possibly the sources misattributed the death to one who gained the most from it. Heliodorus took over as regent, ruling on the behalf of Seleucus IV, young child Antiochus. Heliodorus' reign was regent was brief. However, months later, he was replaced by Antiochus IV with support from Pergamum. So that's what Daniel 11 is saying. The raiser of taxes is Seleucus Philopator, who sent Heliodorus. Heliodorus came back and killed him. That's why it says he didn't die in battle, because he was assassinated. Right? Verse 21. And in his estate shall stand up. Slack. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. So after Heliodorus died and Seleucus IV Philopator died, the vile person that stood up was Antiochus Epiphanes IV. And he wasn't next in line. All right? He wasn't next in line when you go into the history. But he told the Romans, remember, he was a hostage at Rome. He told the Romans, hey, look, If y'all let me go, I'm gonna do you right. Right? We're gonna help you. I'm gonna get that money. Right? I'm gonna get that money that we owe you, and I'm gonna give you some land in the kingdom. Huh? Just let me go, and I'll look out for you. Yeah, I know I'm not next in line after Solutions to Fourth Philippator, right? But put me in power, and I got something for you. So he obtained the kingdom by flatteries, man. Remember, he was a hostage in Rome. And why does he call a vile person? Because he was a pedophile, a child molester, a rapist, a robber, a murderer, a beguiler of souls. A beguiler of souls. Right? When you go into this man, right? Well, we'll have to go into this man on the next, for sake of time, on the next, right? On the next Sabbath service, on volume 4. But we'll have to go into this man on volume 4. Antiochus IV Epiphanes, who he was, how he came into power, what evil he did, man. What evil he did, and his wickedness that he did in the land and against the Jews, man. That'll be in volume 4, Lord willing, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. So again, the goal is to try to finish this in at least 5 volumes. So we'll see, right? If we could finish this Daniel 11 series by volume 5, right? But with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and our glory to Yahweh, Bashima Mashiach, Wamalak Yahushai. Most High willing, you were edified. Kwam Yasha. Shalom.